couple weeks ago.
Sure. Yeah, so I wanted to have some ADP folks here to answer any questions for the commissioners regarding the events that I know you're all aware of that occurred shortly after midnight, Thursday night going into Friday morning, when a product called Cloudstrike, actually the product name is called Falcon. It's an endpoint protection product used by, I think the estimate I last read was 8.5 million Windows workstations. Received a faulty update from the manufacturer. Those updates are automatically applied to workstations and servers throughout the world. And shortly thereafter, that push was done by the manufacturer. The early warning here in the county was within approximately an hour or so, the sheriff detected 2 of his servers having communication issues. And he made that known to Frank. Actually, he sent a cruiser, I think, to Frank's house.
Wake up?
Wake up, yeah. Within 9 minutes of that notification, we actually had tried to remotely access those servers. We were unable to do that. And so we decided, we called the ball at that point early in the morning hours that we needed to just bring everybody in. As we were looking at news briefings that were going on social media and a variety of other platforms, we recognized this would be global and that it would not be a trivial fix. Unfortunately, this particular product and this particular bug was not permitting anybody from remotely fixing the problem. I think that's what you're reading about with places like Delta Airlines. They actually have to put people on the machines to correct the issue and then let it heal itself once it gets a fresh update. So in Geauga's case, we have about 120 servers which had to manually be restarted. We had to go back into its safe mode, delete the corrupt file, have it request a updated new file, and then reboot that server, bring it back online. We did servers first. We were done with servers, and correct me if I'm wrong, by around 6 o'clock in the morning, servers were up and running. But workstations, which we have 1,200 of, had to be gone to station by station, and the same process had to be gone through. So virtually, we had every student, we had everybody who could had 2 good hands and could type, basically going in and doing this function. We went department by department. We prioritized safety forces first. We then went triage down the pipeline. I'm happy to report that by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we had virtually the entire county operational. There were a couple outliers, people that didn't work on Friday, for example. We just kind of put them off. I think we handled them Monday morning when they came in. There were some other computers that perhaps were taken home and people hadn't brought them back in, so those are being remediated on a case-by-case basis. But I just wanted to open up the floor for the commissioners to be able to, I think, justifiably ask any questions about the product, about the remediation, and more importantly, about what actions we're going to do going forward so that this does not reoccur for the county. And understandingly, we're a very small piece of their pie when it comes to who was affected. When you're shutting down 3 major airlines and most Fortune 500 companies, I don't know that Geauga County is tops on their list of priority. It is on ours, but not necessarily on theirs. But I think we have a plan going forward to become, if it were, kind of a louder voice. And I've already communicated that to our prosecutor. He is offered to go through the Attorney General and perhaps look at class actioning like we did with the opioid crisis and try to recover some money for the county because taxpayer funds were expended in order to fix this issue. And when you pay that kind of money for a product, you expect a certain performance, just like when you buy a car. And in this case, it's a manufacturer's defect. I think they have some liability.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was thinking the same thing as what was going on. And this was just affected Windows-based mainly.
Yeah, Mac users and Linux users were not affected, only Windows.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's 8.5 million computers. So.
Yeah, and we're pretty heavy, I mean, we're almost entirely Windows, right?
Yeah, we have a couple of outliers which are non-Windows based, but we even have some, what I call not really workstations that are Windows based. We have some meeting centers which are like kernels of Windows. Even the surfaces are affected by this.
Right.
So yeah, anything that's Windows branded. And Microsoft took a huge hit for this as well. they were beat up pretty hard in the news
They
because.
were getting a lot of the blame.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but they basically are, just like Geauga County, they use that product.
They're paying for it.
And so, there's gonna be some blowback on Cloudstrike. Now, I will say Cloudstrike is the best in the world. I mean, you're buying the best product available to do this kind of function. That does not excuse, however, not
Yeah.
having a system for rolling out
And I think there's some
updates.
argument to that, they're the biggest, for sure, they've got the market share. It sounds like they've squeezed out everybody else that's in this area, from what, at least the news was saying, that everybody's so highly relying on CrowdStrike, all these Fortune 500, and that was kind of the question, I think, from the government side, is like, going forward, like whatever the contingency is for the forward, or the future, is what, how do you stop something like this happening, putting all your eggs in one basket, with somebody like this, is there a way to diversify or spread the risk?
There is, but I think I don't want to confuse the popularity of a product with throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
So in this case, the same argument could be made about Microsoft.
Yeah.
Microsoft is the dominant operating system in the world. So if Microsoft were to do something like this, they would be, taken over the coals and roasted, as they should be. I think the message here is this is just a poorly implemented manufacturing process, and they did not do their jobs. Why they don't use a test cell and why they don't stage pushes of releases is something they're going to have to answer to. And their CEO was roasted pretty heavily immediately after doing this. And I think he will continue to feel that pressure. I would be surprised if he survives this.
Yeah, and I don't know, financially, like you said, they're going to have to pay the piper at some point.
I mean, I liken him to the director of the Secret Service right now.
Yeah.
Two jobs I wouldn't want to have right now, and they're both justified in having
in
that
that seat soon enough.
Yeah.
So I noticed on our financials today that we did approve another payment renewal for CrowdStrike for $125,600 compared to last year's $114,000. And I'm sure there may be a good reason for the increase, but are you comfortable? Are you comfortable moving forward again with?
Well, as of today, I am,
Okay.
but I will couch that by saying I am encouraging the prosecutor to leverage Geauga with the rest of the Ohio entities who were affected. I think coming from the Attorney General of the state, they're going to have a lot louder voice than Geauga County arguing about $125,000.
Right.
I did a rough guess of what it potentially cost the county, and just looking at our certificate of estimated resources and dividing it by the number of hours in the day and not counting labor, but just looking at what it costs us to operate on a 24/7 basis, it cost us roughly $340,000 for that upset. That does not include labor. That is just what our budget burned in that window of time that we were unproductive. So that's substantial, but when you couple that with 88 counties and all the other entities who use this product, I think the Attorney General is going to take notice, and let's let him fight that fight. And it doesn't cost us to pursue it. I think the opioid settlement was very profitable from the standpoint of return on investment of having to put lawyers on this. But the prosecutor has been willing to take this on, and we will give him the technical data that he needs to argue our point, and then let's see where this goes. I am not questioning the quality of CrowdStrike's product. I'm questioning the quality of their pushing up this update. I think they failed their own system.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think the confidence in that, obviously they put out a good product for a reason, but part of their product are these software pushes, and so,
we're looking internally. Is there some mechanism that we can put in place to house them for a period of hours to see what happens to other people? I mean, the best approach is let somebody else experience the problem.
So I guess, not to get too into the weeds on it, but so did they send out a software update, and we received it? Or does it automatically happen?
Because it's an agent that runs on the PCs, the PC requests it, and so it's through the internet. People that weren't on the internet didn't get it. So what we experienced was, if you took a computer home and it was not connected, it would not have gotten its update. If you waited until the remediation occurred and plugged it in, you would have gotten the clean update.
I see.
So it's a matter of who was connected and when, and that's what I think airport saw. They're always connected, and
So
consequently they.
It was kind of like hitting a light switch.
Yeah.
Just, everybody. Boom.
I mean, yeah,
It wasn't like it kind of slowly rolled.
So, you know, from our position, not, and again, not to get into the weeds, but I think it would be nice if we could establish some sort of a scheduler where we can say, look, we don't want you to just dump into our systems. We want to be able to set timers where we maybe invoke one function of one department and then do this in staged approaches hour by hour. This happened right at midnight, and like I said, by 1:20 is when the sheriff reported the issue. And in 19 minutes later, Rob Bushman was deep into the servers.
So the sheriff, so was he completely blind? I mean, he had no radios, nothing?
Well, no, his 911, I believe, went down. All of the server-based technology,
911.
Spillman went down.
Yeah.
All of the server-based technologies. So I guess that's the other argument here. I think our decision as a county 2 years ago to move from under-roof servers to cloud-based was one of the smartest things in hindsight that we could have ever done. Because it turned out that our servers that were cloud-based were only affected if they were using Cloudstrike remotely, and not all of them were. So for example, my email was up, I got an email at 2:03 a.m. from Kate Jacob, who was having computer problems, which is ironic. She was working on something that was due that day, and so she had to get on it early in the morning. So if it were not for us moving our email servers to the cloud, our server, our email server, would have been down. And as I talked to Frank and the team this morning about debriefing, we probably today wouldn't be up on email yet because of how hard it is to bring those servers back online. So we dodged that bullet, but at the same time, I think you always walk away with these with lessons learned and what not to do going forward.
Yeah, certainly, there's a lot of pros to today's day and age in IT and how heavily we rely on it, and it makes everything so convenient and wonderful, but then on the flip side, something like this, my he was always big on pen and paper, so he never got into the whole iPad thing, and I bought him one for Christmas, he wouldn't do it, so.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean, I remember talking with a gentleman from a village who wanted to, they wanted to go under ADP, and the one councilman said, I remember we should just go back to using spreadsheets or to paper spreadsheets and writing in our journals. And I said, well, I don't disagree that that is safer than computers when it comes to virusing, but is it fair to your constituents?
Right.
I mean, people want instantaneous information. Unfortunately, paper doesn't let you do that. And so we're in the environment that we're in, and I think we need to be best at it. And clearly this was a misstep by Cloudstrike, and they're going to pay the price for it. And I think my duty is to protect the county as much as I can.
So is there other products out there that, or not to say that you throw this out because of this one incident, but are there comparable or competitive products?
Yeah, I believe there's a product called Sentinel. There's a couple of others that are commercially available that are competitors. I think we need to go down that road, but I don't think you do that the day of an upset. I think that's just not.
Right. It sounded like, a lot of people, like Fortune 500 companies and governments and everybody just really jumped head first in it. Maybe it's for good reason, maybe because they're a superior product, I don't know, but it's, there was a lot, I was watching the news and they brought up some good points as to, how these guys got so big, so fast with the market share, and, are they that much better?
Well, I believe their technology is that much better,
Okay.
quite frankly, but that does not escape the requirements
Right.
of how to push out updates.
We appreciate everybody's help.
So, I mean, I brought the team, if you have any, these guys, the guys that actually did it, so I'm guessing here, I'm spitballing. But if you have any specific questions, I believe everybody is reporting up. There may be one or two nodes that were not available for us, if that's correct. But we're talking handfuls, and we've reverted to our normal process now. People should call help desk, we'll send somebody out, and we'll take care of it. So we're not out in the public doing this proactively now. We were, though, until late Friday.
Yeah. Thank you guys, appreciate your.
Yeah, thanks for the communication too.
Yeah.
On Friday I was on the computer in the afternoon for about 3 or 4 hours, but at the time when I left, some of the computers, they couldn't make copies through the computer to the copy machine.
Right.
And is that all
Yeah, that's been resolved. Scanning was an issue, printing was an issue, because those are on different servers. So those were brought up last because they're not mission critical. We brought business systems up first, workstations up second, and then all the peripherals up third. So it just, the triage plan that we have in place worked like clockwork. That's the good news. The bad news is we had to use our triage plan.
Well, I'm gonna compliment the whole team of IT, because you get up in the middle of the night and you start working to get this stuff straightened out. That's the dedication. You're like the fire department. You gotta put the fire out. So no matter what time of day, you have to be out there. So thanks for the fast response, and I really appreciate it.
Did they, last question, did Cloudstrike assist you in how to like bring it back on, like to fix it?
No.
No.
No, actually, we determined the fix before CrowdStrike pushed it to social media.
Okay.
We just knew how it worked, and
Yeah.
they knew they had to get into
Yeah.
the safe mode and do it.
Correct it.
It was
Yeah.
painstaking, yeah. I mean, I watched Rob sweating bullets in the basement, so he's not having a good time.
Hopefully you bought him some breakfast sandwiches.
We bought everybody lunch yesterday.
Yeah.
So, we waited till, make sure they ran for 24 hours.